So here we go, Steve. Alibaba, Tencent, sites added to the US Notorious Market Lists. What's happening? Are you there, Steve?
I'm here. Are we better now?
Yeah, well, I don't know if we are or not, but let's give it a try. Go for it.
Go for the Alibaba story.
Yep. Sorry. Go for Alibaba.
Well, I mean, this is a story that's replicating across all types of platforms, right? So you have companies that say, well, we're going to put up a platform, but we're not going to be responsible for the people who use the platform, right? This is exactly what happened with Spotify and Joe Rogan. And they say, well, if there's COVID disinformation, we're an open platform. We're not responsible for it. But no, you are. And so you saw what happened to Spotify. Well, and this is the same thing, that happens on the shopping platforms. And that you have these companies that have platforms up that are full of counterfeit goods and stolen goods. And the United States government has set up a list to call them out on it.
And Steve, when we look at this, and you know what, I meant to mention too when we first started the segment, let me just backtrack a little bit because this is important about you having been elected chairman of the Association of American Chambers of Commerce across Asia Pacific. So congratulations on that. First of all, that is a huge thing for you and for the association itself.
Well, I figure, Glenn, you getting elected governor, I getting elected chair, that pretty soon the Queen is going to be knighting Neil, so he'll have the title of Sir.
Yeah, he's waiting.
Neil, any day now. Any day.
He's waiting for that. Neil had to just step out for a second, so you got me. Let's go back to this notorious market lists. So this identifies 42 online sites, 35 physical stores, and e-commerce platforms. Does it mean that people cannot use them in the United States, or what is the actual result of being on this notorious markets list?
Well, it puts those who have the sites on notice that they have to take action to try and, but if not eliminate, at least limit the amounts of counterfeits being sold on their platforms. And so this goes into a process where these companies can learn and do things. And so you have companies like you mentioned with Alibaba, but you also have Singapore's Shopee is on that list as well. And so it gives those companies a chance to put, procedures in place to vet sellers and make sure that there's no counterfeit goods on its platforms, and at least prevent repeat infringers from re-registering and continuing to sell counterfeit goods.
It's a big moment, I think, because obviously the reach and the breadth of these particular platforms are massive across not just Asia, but in the U.S. as well, and the amount of e-commerce they're doing. What do you think is their redress for this? What did they do to try to get back in the good graces and get off this list?
Well, it's actually, it's in some ways it's very easy, in some ways it's very hard. It's very easy. Stop having counterfeit goods on your platform. Right now. Having that happen can be hard. So you have to put a lot of money into security. You have to put a lot of money into tracing where these criminals are using your platform, and then you have to find ways to kick them off your platform. You have to put in very good systems so that when a customer buys, Nike shoes or Apple, earbuds, that what they get are really Nikes or Apples, and when they're not, which could be the case, they can complain, and then the security of the platform traces it back and kicks that person off the platform. So it's easy. Don't sell counterfeit. Don't allow counterfeit on your goods. Very hard, of course, because the criminals make billions and billions of dollars through this.
Yeah, and that's just it. And there's so many of them out there, millions and millions of counterfeiters, that it would be an interesting AI challenge for them to be able to catch every one of them doing that. Okay, let's move on. The Hong Kong chief executive has postponed the election of a new chief executive to May the 8th amid the COVID surge that they're having there. Folks were really looking forward to choosing a new chief executive. I would imagine the current one, Carrie Lam, was looking forward to being out of that position as well. But they've decided to delay it. Now, some people are saying, hey, this makes sense because you can't have people voting in COVID conditions. Other people are saying there might be something more to it behind the scenes between Beijing and Hong Kong. What's your take on it?
I mean, I'll take it at face value. You see those pictures out of Hong Kong that are just dreadful with people lined up on the street who have COVID. I mean, it's just that Hong Kong's got, possibly the worst of both worlds of crying for COVID zero, but not being able to enforce it like they can in China. So I mean, I'll take it at face value. It's just it would not be the right time to have the election from a health perspective. And cynically, you may say, does it really matter who's going to win? I mean, the ultimate authority in Hong Kong is now in China. For certainly when it comes to national security, it's always been there when it comes to foreign policy. It's increasingly there in domestic policy. So yeah, postponing it for health reasons certainly seems to make sense.
Yeah. At the same time, there was a notable victory in the war against COVID this week. On Wednesday, the Singapore Airlines flight landed on Bali, the first international passenger flight to land there in nearly 2 years. 109 travelers got off the plane, 47 Indonesians and others. This is a huge moment for them. I have friends that live in Bali and have just been saying, how devastated the economy has been there with the lack of tourism. A good news story against many that are not so good these days.
Well, is you've had COVID and I have it now, and more people are getting immunized through the boosters as well as just having the disease. I mean, we're moving into the endemic phase, and so this is clearly a sign that Indonesia, which had a healthcare system struggling with COVID, is now opening up to tourism back up. So it's clearly the direction where the world is headed. You still have to quarantine, I think, for 3 days in Bali, whereas in Thailand and other places you don't have to quarantine at all. Yeah. But it's clearly where the world is going.
Yeah. Singapore Air Show was here this week. Biennial Air Show. We missed it the last couple of years. And now started on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I believe finished off some events on Friday. The general public was not allowed this year because of COVID, but some 600 exhibitors, down from 930 in the last show in February 2020. It's good news that it's come back. It's still a smaller version of what has happened in years past.
I can't remember how many I've been to, but I've been to quite a few of them. And, as you say, it started in 2008. And even though the public went, and these were great, they were so much fun when you could, walk onto the aircraft and then you saw so it's like, but this air show is not for the public, right? Mm-hmm. This is, the people who are there, like at this air show, you had the Israel Aerospace Industries selling its new Blue Spear missile system, right? And you had the another Israeli company displaying its Spider air defense system designed to guard against enemy aircraft and unmanned aerial vehicles, right? This air show is for the defense contractors. It's for aerospace. It's not really for the public. So it's great that it's happened. Hopefully the public can come back. But the fact that it's happened, it brought people together. It's increasing sales in aerospace and aeronautics. That's what's important.
Yeah. We saw many commercial applications as well. The 777X was on display, and I had a chance to meet with our mutual good friend Ray Corrigan, who is a former Navy flyer, and he said the flyby of the 777X was unreal. The way the pilot banked that plane, he goes, that is a thing that should not be able to have happen with a big commercial airliner like that. So he was very impressed as an eyewitness to watching the 777X. By Boeing, fly around, and that was the interesting thing too, because all of the acrobatics and the flying stuff was streamed live online this year, so that people that were not able to be there in person could actually see it, no matter where they were, not only in Singapore but around the world. Kind of a nice addition to using technology, wasn't it?
Yeah, and having been the Deputy General Counsel at the U.S. Department of Transportation, I had no idea before then, how deep this aviation community was and how geeked out they would get. And, what is the banking of this aircraft? I'm like, what are you talking about? And but they love it. And so even though I'm not going to be watching. I would go in person because it would just be, oh, well, that's a big airplane. Wow.
Right.
But these people, oh, that was an 8-degree bank, or the wake vortex off of the 777. What are you people talking about? But they love it. So good that it's online.
Yeah, and of course, lots of big deals happening behind the scenes. We'll, I'm sure, get numbers from the EDB and from the Singapore government in days and weeks to come as to just how successful the contracts were that came out. Okay, finally, speaking of airlines, AirAsia had an unwanted guest on board. A flight in Malaysia was rerouted after a snake was found on board. I love these stories. They should be movies. In fact, some of them, they are.
Well, the captain in a statement email to CNN, he said, this is a very rare incident which can occur on any aircraft from time to time. And I'm like, no, it can't. It cannot. I've been on I've been on 1,000 flights, at least 1,000 flights in my life. You know how many snakes have been on planes with me?
that you know of.
Zero snakes. This is not something that can occur from time to time. Yeah. What are you talking about? I mean, so I'm thinking this is a real branding opportunity for somebody like, for one of their competitors. They, their tagline should be, fly us. We don't have snakes.
Interesting. Well, the flight was from KL to Tawau, and it had to stop in the city of Kuching once they saw the snake. And you could see the outline of the snake like up in the ceiling of the plane, with the lights backlighting. It was very bizarre, but I guess that's life in the tropics. All right.
Well, I'll tell you, it reminded me, Glenn, one flight I was flying back to Vietnam to get on the plane, and it was, I said, about 15 years ago, and like the flight attendant immediately goes to this passenger, like, you cannot have this on this airplane. You got to take it off. I was very confused. But it was durian, right? The guy brought durian on. He's like, you're gonna stink with the whole aircraft. So if you can keep durian off your aircraft, I think you can keep snakes off your aircraft.
There you go. One would hope. All right, Steve, we're going to leave it there. Wishing you a speedy and full recovery, and just all the best in getting over. And Rob Salisbury online says, major congrats to you, Steve, on your chairman role at the American Chamber of Commerce Asia Pacific region, and Joanne Flynn as well. Congrats to you, and everybody wishing you warm congratulations. Although Stanley C says that your background looks like a KTV lounge, of like the back studio of a KTV lounge or something. So who knows what that? But anyway, all the best to you, my friend. Get well soon.
Thank you. I'm going to go take a nap now.
Sounds good.
International News Review